That's what counts.
Yeah. I remember this distinctly despite my age. I was only 5 years old. I was asleep at night, and I just woke up, and I really don't know why. I just, for some reason, just got up, and I was awake as if I had, gotten up on a regular morning.
Sure.
And I had lived with my grandparents.
Was this the middle of the night when you woke up?
Yeah, actually.
Okay.
It was more for the middle of the night in the morning, and I got up, and then I didn't know why. I looked around, and I couldn't find my mother or anyone around. I went through the house and finally found all of my family members for some reason, and, it was odd them being there that night. And they were all sitting around, and they all seemed, really sad. And I asked what was wrong, and no one would tell me, so I got a drink of water like a good little kid and went to bed. And when I was asleep, I was trying to go to bed, and I looked up at some point and saw something at the foot of my bed. This is a very common story, I'm sure. It looked kind of greenish white, and I just, as a kid, I just saw that, and I just, got scared and just put the covers over my head.
Natural reaction.
And just sat there trembling.
Yes.
And, and then, as I started to calm down, I realized it looked like my grandfather for some reason. So I, peeked back out after a couple minutes, and there was nothing there. So I just, I was a little kid, I was tired, I just went back to sleep. So I woke up the next morning, and apparently what had happened is my grandfather had started feeling chest pains.
Oh.
And he had gone to the emergency room.
Your grandfather had been in the house or not?
He lived with us, both of my grandparents.
I see, all right.
And he'd gone to the emergency room. He had chest pains, and he didn't want to go, but my grandmother got him to go.
Sure.
And he'd gone down there, and he was in the emergency room, and it was his time to come up. And apparently, he felt someone else there needed help more than he did. The person obviously was more ill.
Yes.
So he had them go ahead and go through. And finally, when they got to him, you know how things are in an emergency room, he walked in, and as he was walking in, he collapsed, and he was dead.
On the spot?
On the spot. So...
Well, he came to see you.
Apparently.
Yeah, he came to see you, sir. I appreciate the call, thank you. He came to see you. There's a million stories like that. As you look into the question of whether there is life after death, this is one of the most repetitive kind of stories you will hear. Relatives, loved ones, family will die suddenly. And those close who had no idea that they were even in jeopardy will see them, because they will come to visit one more time. Proof? Something you can scientifically lay your hands on? No. Enough stories so you can believe it is true? Absolutely. West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hi.
Hi, I'm calling from Wenatchee.
Well, welcome. Yes.
And I'm not sure if this is a ghost story, but it scared the heck out of me.
All right.
I was asleep one night, and I was having a nightmare that somebody was trying to kill me. And I tried to wake up because I knew I was dreaming. And then all of a sudden, I felt like somebody had just put their knee or pressure on the bed.
Oh.
And that just scared me so bad, and I was struggling really, really hard to wake up. And I finally was able to open my eyes, and there was no one on the side of the bed, but at the foot of the bed I could see a man from the waist up, but he was in light. It was like, it was a negative, but where it should be light, it was
dark.
And where it was light, it was really bright.
I've got you.
And he was moving around. I could see the outline of his face and his features and all that. And he was moving around doing stuff. And all I could do was I kept saying, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. And I looked over, and I had turned on my light, and I looked at my clock, and I looked back, and he was still there. And
That's bad.
I know. And I went to sleep. I was hoping I would forget it, and I've never been able to forget it. I said, I don't know what it was.
Well, how long did he remain? At some point, he had to go away, right?
Yeah, it was, I don't know, several minutes.
You know what?
What?
You're lucky you weren't attacked.
I know.
Because that's what it may have been.
Well, do you know what happened, though, then about 5 months later? Because this happened last year. And then about 5 months later, I was sitting here in my dining room with my back to the sliding window, and I kept thinking I was hearing something outside, and I sit here with my door open a little bit to blow the smoke out, and I got up to get a cup of coffee, and I went over and I sat back down, and all of a sudden I just thought, oh my God, I knew somebody was behind me. And I was just terrified. I got up and I went to get another cup of coffee, and I thought, I guess I better replace the lights on my patio, and I went out to my laundry room, which is right next to the slider, to get a light bulb, and when I reached over to turn on the light, there was a man there.
Oh,
He
bad.
had been within 5 feet of me, and the police came and they found his footprints all around my house. And I kept thinking, well, maybe it was lucky.
I appreciate the call, thank you. Yes, creepy in both circumstances. What was that man at the foot of her bed? I don't know. But the pressure that she felt indicates that there could have been an attack. By a ghost, no. By an evil entity? Yes, possibly so. First time caller line, you're on the air. Hi.
Hi, I'm calling from Charleston, Montana.
Okay, welcome to the show. You're going to have to get close to the phone because you're not very loud.
Okay, thank you.
All right, go right ahead.
Thank you. Several years ago, we lived on a ranch, and we had a great big old house. It looked like almost like a plantation. It had a long pillars and everything, and it was kind of scary. One night,
Like an old southern plantation
yeah,
house.
it did. It had its, the top had like 5 bedrooms.
Oh, I know. I've lived in a house like that.
It had a
Yes.
wood stove, we had to chop wood for it and everything. And,
Yes.
And I really liked it, but it was spooky. One night, my mother had to leave, and she was going to be gone overnight. I had a girlfriend come stay with me. And we stayed up and watched TV till there was no more television, and we went upstairs. I had my bedroom upstairs, and it was a nice evening. It was summer, and it was a moonlit night, and we're talking and laughing and telling stories as so well. And all of a sudden, I heard something outside, and I was an old tree had grown there, and it was real close to my window, some of the limbs, and I thought, well, the wind must have come up and knocked against that window, and we looked, and it wasn't. And I kept listening, and I thought, well, that is a very familiar sound. And she said, well, what is it? And I said, oh my God, it sounds like somebody chopping wood. We had a wood pile right outside the house there in the back, right close to the back porch. And I chopped a lot of wood. I knew what that sound was.
You bet.
And we just looked at each other, we were just like horrified. And I thought, well, we've got to go see what this is, So we went downstairs, and then he had a baseball bat, and I thought we had a butter knife or something, and we walked outside this old porch and got to the end of it, and there was a very large, about a 500-gallon propane tank, a white one, at the end of this porch.
Oh, yes.
The sound is still continuing, only it's loud, and it's definitely something, it's chopping wood. And I'm going, oh my God, and so we were too scared to step off the porch and look around the house. And all of a sudden, the noise stopped. And we're just like frozen right there. And I looked over, we're looking towards the propane tank, the moon is just right, and all of a sudden there's this long, dark shadow, and it's floating. And it's in a shape like of a person. It had a head and shoulders. It looked like a man's shadow, a very tall one. And it's floating across that propane tank towards us. And we screamed and ran to the door, and I grabbed the door, and she was shoved me out of the way, and she grabbed the door, and we were out there like 5 minutes just trying to get in the house. We finally got in. We stayed awake all night. I was so scared. The next day we went out, and there was wood had been chopped, and it was thrown all over the barnyard and all over the yard, and it was. I wish they'd have stamped it. That would have been nice.
Whatever in the hell was out there, it wasn't good.
No, it wasn't, and it was. I never stayed there alone again without my mother there anyway. So.
Well, let me tell you, teenage girls are dangerous things.
Yeah.
They really are. And I've had a number of guests lately, all of which have confirmed that teenage girls project things because they are so emotional, their hormones are raging. I call it the Carrie syndrome. But teenage girls project things. And that may be what you did.
That might have been.
Or something may have been after you.
Right. Yeah, within that home, there were odd things that would happen. Sometimes I'd be in my room, and someone would call my name and say, come here. And I would be like playing the guitar or something, and I'd say, well, didn't want to be bothered. And I'd say, what do you want? It sounded like my mother. 3 or 4 times this would happen. I'd finally go downstairs, disgusted, they wouldn't tell me, and there wouldn't be anybody in the house. It was just me. So the old home had belonged to a very large family. They built it in the 1800s, and they were still there, I think.
Were you a pretty hyperactive teenage girl?
No, I actually was very calm.
Well, I
very
mean,
cool.
inner emotions boiling.
Yeah, I was probably, yeah.
Well, there's been a lot of studies about teenage girls. I'm telling you, they project things, and so it may have been that, or it may be that you were very lucky not to have gone out there
Right.
any earlier, lest you would have been the one shocked.
That's true. We thought of that. We thought, oh my God, I'm glad we, didn't go any further than the end of that porch. And, but we were just terrified. I just, stayed completely, I don't think we even went outside till, the sun was completely up and it was warm. And
These things impress you for all your life, don't
yeah, yes, it did. I still remember it. I can just almost see it,
they? You never ever forget.
No.
All right. Well, listen, I've got to run. I want to thank you for the call. It has been a pleasure, and that was a good story.
Thanks a lot.
You
Bye-bye.
take care. This to Ghost AM. It is all night long, nothing but your real ghost stories. And so back to it we go. First time caller line, you're on the air, top of the morning to you.
Yes. Good morning, Art. And my mom says hello to you. We both love your show.
Hi to your mom, too.
Oh, okay, great.
Oh, she's right there. Where are you?
In Albany, Oregon.
All right.
And this has happened, 83, 84. I was in the Navy at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Out in the middle of the Indian Ocean on an aging oiler called the USS Pacific.
I'll be darned.
And I was a signalman. And there was myself and another signalman. We're up the signal bridge. The front part of the signal bridge is fairly open and spacious and everything. But the area in back was very narrow, and there's just like a small walkway. We were both sitting in what we call the signal shack, and in the back part area, and there was a doorway right in the front.
Mm-hmm.
And the ship being old and everything like that, I mean, there was no way. We ran this one up, down, sideways, whichever, trying to figure this one out afterwards. But, and it could have been someone trying to play a trick, but we really don't think so. Because, we could hear anybody sneaking around.
Sure.
I mean, it's just that type of a ship. But we were sitting there, and all of a sudden on this door, on this hatch, we start hearing this knocking, and it wasn't none of this, friendly, hi, how are you, open up the door, let me in type knock.
Sure.
It was a steady bang, 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 and it was like, made my willy hair stand right on end.
Understood.
But we thought, we opened up the door, and there was no one there. And, we thought, oh, hi, okay, someone's, playing a joke.
Messing around with us, sure.
Right. And, we're out in the middle of the ocean. It's bound to get boring. The thing is that we didn't hear anybody wandering around. We looked up on top. We weren't running around. It's the middle of the night.
Well, ships are as likely a place as any for a haunting, maybe more likely than most.
Well, yeah, I was also on the Forestall, and we had, there was a big fire on there. And we had well over 100 some people get killed.
I recall.
And, but the thing was that we closed the door, and after looking around, and then it was like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes later, the, knocking came back, and, we started, it's like calling out, knock it off, you guys, and it just kept on going.
Of course.
And I ran out I went out to the front part of our signal shack, and went out another access door. My other signalman, he went out the other access door. We found not a soul. And we were supposed to have what we call a sleeping mid-block.
In other words, you came back at it from both directions to catch whoever it was.
Right. And the only way, if there would have been someone up there, the only way they would have been able to get off off of the bridge without being seen was to jump off of the bridge. And that would have, that was like about a 20-foot drop.
I got you. So it was something, but you don't know what.
We looked around, even for something, a loose wire or something like that, we never found anything. But it made for a few
I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did, especially at sea, which is kind of an eerie thing anyway. Thank you very much for the call. It is a little eerie to be at sea. There's nothing around. Or is there?
This is CBC.
Wildcard Line, you're on the air. Hi.
Hi, this is Art.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, hi, Art. My name's Tom, and I'm out here in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm a second-year law student.
Good, Tom.
I'm
Welcome.
originally from Kodiak, Alaska.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, and
We've got a lot of listeners up in Kodiak.
yeah, my uncle might be listening up there in Anchorage right now. I don't know, but anyway, this incident happened almost a year ago. It was on October 24th, 1995.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at the law school. I was a first-year student, and I was talking with a friend of mine. He's also a law student. He's a minister, too. And we happened to be talking about heaven and hell and the afterlife, things like that. And
That invites it.
yeah, it was kind of odd because we
It's not
hadn't
odd.
really talked much like that.
No, it's not odd. It invites it. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so the time rolled around, and it was about 4 in the afternoon, and I went to my civil procedure class there, which is kind of a boring class, how to run a trial and do discovery, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
I used to fall asleep in that class sometimes.
Understand.
And I was sitting there, and about a little ways into the class, I just kind of get real drowsy. Thought I was drifting off, and all of a sudden, about an arm's length in front of me, in front of my seat, I kind of felt or saw it. I don't know what it was. It's kind of, I don't know if I saw it or felt it, but it was an arm's length. It was about the size of a basketball, and I felt like it was my mother was there, and she was saying, "Hi, son," and then it was like she was saying, "Goodbye, son." And, it was about a minute.
In the middle of a class.
Middle of the class, and I didn't know if I was hallucinating or what, but I came to and I was very alert at that point.
I understand.
And
The adrenaline suddenly pumping real hard.
real hard. And it lasted maybe a minute or so.
Uh-huh.
The air looked a little swirly. It seemed swirly. I don't know if I really saw it or was just feeling it or what. But
Yes.
at the end of that experience, which lasted maybe a minute or so, this thought entered my mind, and it said, well, when you get home, if one of your sisters calls and says, and your wife says she was real upset, that was your mom visiting you in class.
Was your mom alive?
She was, and but she was in the terminal stage of the cancer.
Oh, I see.
And, as soon as I got home, my wife Lisa said, "Tom, one of your sisters called, and she was real upset. She wants you to call her back."
Oh, boy.
It's funny, it was the same language that I heard in my mind, So I
You called.
called up Teresa right away. Went out to Teresa, and she said, "Mom passed away about an hour and 15 minutes ago," something like that.
Yep.
And it was exactly the same time
When
she
you
visited me.
yes. In the middle of a busy but boring class.
Yeah, civil procedure class, and it was just,
There's
was amazing.
There's no question in your mind, is there, that was your mother?
there's no question, because I've never had an experience like that before, Stan.
Yeah.
And it's just like she came and said, actually when she visited me, it was about an hour and 15 minutes after she had passed away, California time.
I've got you.
And it was beautiful, because I knew that she came. And the weird thing was, the night before that happened, I was just in terrible grief and weeping and mourning, even before she passed away. And
You knew it was coming.
I guess I could feel it.
Yeah.
But it just occurred to me that she's somewhere on the other side waiting for us. We're going to be with her someday.
There is no question about it, sir. I thank you for the story, and there is no question about it. How many of those do you have to hear before you begin to conclude that this is real? That this life is not the end? We don't know what lays on the other side. There's no way to know that. But there's something. It's not a complete ending. It's not a great blank. It's not a dead-end street. There's something that goes on after this life. And how many of those stories do you have to hear before you begin to understand it is true? East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hi.
Hello, Art.
Hi.
This one is, I've heard about the ghost track all through my life. And I've never been out there. I've heard, several people that go out there. My daughter and her boyfriend, they went out there about,
I don't, wait a minute. Where is out there and what are ghost traps?
Okay, San Antonio, deep South San Antonio off of South Crescent Street. You might be familiar with it. You were down here for basic training.
Well, you're right, I was. But that was sort of like a hell on earth, as I recall it.
Okay. All right, they're called the ghost tracks. And I had my daughter research it. And it turns out that in the 1940s, on an afternoon, school bus was taking some kids home that lived down in that area,
Right.
around the old missions, south around San Antonio River,
Oh, yes.
south of town. And what happened is, as they were going over the tracks into their little neighborhood, the dang bus stalled, and this darn train couldn't stop in time. They didn't have road crossings back then, track crossings and stuff, warnings.
Right.
And it hit the bus, and it killed the driver, I understand, and all the children that were left on the bus.
Oh, my.
So I had my daughter and her boyfriend show me how to get out there last Saturday just to go see, before I gave you a call. And she researched it, and we went out there, and you go up across the tracks, and you can, I was very skeptical. I was looking at the lay of the land and everything.
Right.
And there's a level area right there in the road, and it's level all the way to the tracks. And you can see where the tracks are above the road. So I thought, okay, so I parked 30 foot away from the tracks, put my truck in neutral, and nothing happened. I said, about that time I told Wayne, I said, look, what's going on? Nothing's happening. At that time, my truck starts getting pushed. I mean, that's the only way you can describe it, is pushed.
But no, your truck was pushed?
My truck was being pushed. I'm sitting on level ground on the street. And the next thing I know, my truck was being pushed, and by the time we reached the track, now this was only a little 30-foot distance, I'm going at a pretty good clip, about 15 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour, and I'm wanting to put on my brakes. He says, no, don't put on your brakes. They say you put on your brakes, but the windshield's shattered. Well, I didn't want to go into the expense of buying a windshield for the truck, so I didn't. There were about 5 or 6 other cars that were there, had been there ahead of us. And the deal is people go over there and they just put baby powder on the trunks of their cars. We made another trip.
Why do they put baby powder?
Because the legend is, or the story is, that's what they call the ghost tracks, that the children, if you stop there, that they will push you over the track. And I swear to God,
Push you over the tracks.
they
Now,
push you over the track.
there was not a train coming, was there?
No, there's no trains coming.
All right, so what you think is going on is that the spirit of these children doesn't want to ever see anybody ever get stuck there, and they push you over.
That's the only thing I can figure, because there are handprints in the powder on the trunks of the cars that were
Oh,
there.
I've got you now. That's why the powder, and you see handprints there.
Right, yes, sir, and they're small
my.
handprints. There were kindergarten to high school kids, from what I understand, on the bus. They're not large adult handprints that, somebody might have just stuck on there. There are small ones to, larger handprints.
How did you have the guts to try it?
Just because everybody has and nobody's ever been harmed, this is the thing. They're not harmful ghosts. They're like looking out for your welfare, your benefit.
I understand.
And it's really creepy. I thought, okay, yeah, sure, but I've heard about it all these years. We went into the neighborhood. They had named the streets after the children that were killed on the bus. Jane, Bobby Allen, Cindy Sue, Nancy Carroll, Laura Lee, and Ricky Otis. And then there's some more children further up in the neighborhood, but I just didn't want to...
That's a remarkable story.
Yeah, well,
That really is.
it's in the history book. From understand, my mother had seen a couple of programs since it was Halloween week, and it's been shown on TV locally and also on some nationwide news.
Well, I really appreciate your telling us the story. San Antonio has a very rich old history, so I am not surprised.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Take care. Now there's a good one. That's a good one. With little handprints on the back of the cars. It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it, about the nature of life after death? Whether we remain in substance as we were in life, young or old, why we remain. It should have you asking questions of yourself. West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello, Art. How you doing today?
I'm fine.
I'm Terry out of Capilay, Hawaii.
Oh, Hawaii. Hi, Terry.
I got a story. It's not quite as sweet as the last one was, but it's kind of demonic, I guess you could say.
Well, it was sweet. The last one, in a way, was sweet, and it indicates one thing about life after death. You say yours is demonic.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
It didn't actually happen to me. It happened to an aunt of mine. My mother told me the story.
Yeah.
There was a time when they were all young, about I guess between 10 and 15 years old.
Is this in Hawaii, by the way?
No, this is in Ohio.
All right.
Okay. She was told by my grandmother to go down into the cellar, and at that time the cellars were not, nice cinder block or anything like that. There was just dirt. She was told to go down to the cellar and get some potatoes for dinner. Well, she didn't want to. She's been kind of rebellious, I guess, and well, she got yelled at. My grandmother said, get your butt down there and go get them.
Yeah.
Well, kids are, she was walking away. She was going down the stairs to go down to the cellar, and she was cussing, saying, go to hell.
Not saying those things, yeah.
Right, exactly. And she went down there, and she's, picking up the potatoes and putting them in a basket and whatnot. And she hears these footprints behind her. But they're more like what you would imagine the sound of, like, Frankenstein walking up from behind you. The thud kind of thing. Well, she turned around.
Thuds are bad.
Yeah, thuds are bad. Well, she turned around and she screams at the top of her lungs and goes running up the stairs. She's crying. She just, she looked like she just saw a ghost.
Yep.
Well, my grandmother's asking her, what happened? What happened? She said, I just saw the devil. And she described him, he was, like 7 feet tall, whatever. And, my grandmother's scolding her for telling a lie.
Yeah.
Like, she's really very adamant about this. And she said, he was half goat and hooves and all this other stuff.
Oh, my.
They said, okay, well, so they went downstairs to look.
They?
My grandmother and my grandfather
Right.
went downstairs to look. Excuse me. And in the dirt and the cellar were hoof prints.
Really?
This really gets weird.
Uh-huh.
You see the hoof prints, they just kind of start, like right, they start at the wall and they kind of go up to right to where she was standing. They turn back around and go right back into the same corner. And there was like half a hoof print between the wall and the dirt. It was like half was there and half was inside the wall.
Oh, no. So whatever this was, it hoofed its way right through the wall. Oh, man, that'd be it for me.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
That's an incredible story.
It was pretty bizarre.
By the way,
Yeah.
I hope to hear during the night that there are some very good ghost stories that have and always will be part of Hawaii.
Yeah.
It's a very eerie place. But that story, that was a good one, sir. Thank you.
You have a good day, Art.
All right. Hoof marks in the basement. I don't think so. Hoof marks, and then a half hoof mark right at the basement wall. Are you still drinking tap water? Well, you deserve better than that. Your body is 75% water, your brain 85%. You are what you drink. Bottled water is simply not much better. It leaches things from the plastic into the water. Tap water can have chlorine, chemicals, lead, even cryptosporidium. So you don't want tap water straight. You don't want bottled water. Not good. What you do want is good, clear, flowing, filtered water. And that's what you get with the WaterPure countertop system. It installs in about a minute. It filters out chlorine, lead, chemicals, and parasites at 99%. When you get it, you hook it up and draw a glass of water. And then draw one from the tap and compare the two. You'll be sold. Believe me, you'll be sold. Right now, we've got a $40 savings on the price of the main system itself. It's $119.95. That really is a good deal. As a matter of fact, this sale will end soon, so don't wait. Now, coming with this, at that price, free of charge, is the travel filter, a $30 value, free. Then, if you call before noon, which I'm sure you will do, you get a chlorine test kit. So, you can test your water. And you can check out the chlorine levels, and then you can install your countertop system, and you will be a happy camper. Because you will have clean, filtered water. An absolutely continuing, endless supply of it. It is the best way. It's better than bottled water, believe me. Call them before noontime at 1-800-313-PURE. That's 1-800-313-PURE, Pure. All right, you're listening to Ghost AM. This means that we tell ghost stories all night long. It is Halloween, and as I told the earlier audience, it is also the birth date of the state of Nevada, born on Halloween. Nevada carries a lot of firsts: per capita murder rates, cancer rates, things that happen here in Nevada that are sort of proof of excess, if you will. That's Nevada, born on this day, Halloween. What a day to have joined the Union, wouldn't you say? Yes, Nevada's having a birthday today. We're going to break here at the top of the hour, and we will be, well, I think we will be right back.
This is the CBC Radio Network.
All right, once again, all we're doing tonight on any line is taking ghost stories. Real ones. So whatever line you're able to reach us on, this night is devoted to that, as it is every year. This is now a yearly event on this program, and I think that I've been doing it probably for a decade. If you would like to join and give us a hair-raising story, you're welcome to.